Right. Good morning from London. This is Dr. Dermot Hudson, Chairman of the Juche Study Group of England, Chairman of UK KFA and the official delegate of the Korean Friendship Association for the UK, and President of the Association for the Study of Song and Politics. I'm just going to speak a bit about the subject of DPRK-US relations, and I'm sure that everybody has seen in the last few days there have been a number of very important statements on this question issued by the DPRK. Firstly, on Wednesday, the State Affairs Commission of the DPRK, which is the highest leadership body in the DPRK, it's actually chaired by respected Marshal Kim Jong-un itself, issued a statement about the US military exercises that are going to take place in December. Then we saw the statement of the DPRK roving ambassador, Kim Myong-gil, issued yesterday about the subject of talks between the DPRK and the US. And then there was the statement of Kim Yong-chol, chairman of the Korea Asia Pacific Peace Committee, a very important body in the DPRK. And of course, it was Comrade Kim Yong-chol who twice visited Washington in the US as the envoy for respected Marshal Kim Jong-un to set up the summits with the US. And basically, the DPRK is taking a no-nonsense stand, a very independent stand. The US and South Korea have apparently decided to go ahead with these exercises in December, which are a total contravention of the DPRK-US joint statement that was adopted at the June 12th summit in Singapore in 2018. You know, they are really sort of a flagrant violation of both the letter and spirit of that statement, and also the promise made by Donald Trump himself that they would cease exercises in South Korea and might even pull out the troops from South Korea. So, I mean, it's quite understandable that the DPRK should feel a lot of anger about this. And the statement said that the DPRK felt betrayed by the US, and it duly warned the US that the DPRK will take measures to counter any US threats, pressure, or indeed aggression. It will match what the US is doing. And yesterday, say, the roving ambassador of the DPRK Foreign Ministry, Kim Myong-gil, he issued a statement which took issue with how the US have been playing around about the subject of talks, and what the US chief negotiator, who's called Beacon or something like that, said was that there could be talks in December with the DPRK. But this wasn't actually said directly to the DPRK. This was said through a third party. Now, that's actually quite ridiculous, because the US have a number of channels they can use to directly approach the DPRK and restart the talks. So, the US is playing around, and there's the suspicion that in fact, what the US are trying to do is to sidestep the deadline that was set by respected Marshal Kim Jong-un in his April policy speech made to the Supreme People's Assembly, that basically the US have until the end of the year to come forward with realistic and concrete ideas, proposals for negotiations. And this hasn't happened. And the roving ambassador's statement addressed the key issue of the US actually getting rid of the anti-DPRK hostile policy, particularly, the elements of it which threaten the DPRK's existence, instead of putting forward secondary proposals like a so-called end of war declaration, which wouldn't really mean a lot. Just declaring a war is over, but without taking any measures such as withdrawing the US troops or actually signing an actual binding peace agreement with the DPRK. This is quite a meaningless proposal. It's got nothing really behind it. And similarly, the idea of establishing a US liaison office in the DPRK, well, that could be become a US spy base for espionage and for subverting the socialist system of the DPRK. So what the DPRK is rightly demanding is threats to its existence should be ended by the US. It's not looking for half-hearted or cosmetic proposals. And in that vein, yesterday, Comrade Kim Yong-chol, the chairman of the Korea Asia Pacific Peace Committee, also addressed this idea that the US might not go ahead with the exercises in December. Again, a few vague words that they might adjust them in some way. Again, we're not sure what it means. Are they actually going to scrap them? Is the US not going to participate? What does this really mean? And he warned basically the US shouldn't play around, or if they are playing around, they will find the results quite shocking. So basically, with regard to DPRK-US relations and talks between the DPRK and the US, it's looking like the clock is ticking away. And really, if the US doesn't come up with any concrete or serious proposals, then that will be the end of it. And, we will need to increase our solidarity with the DPRK if that happens, because the DPRK will probably face a lot of threats from the US. There will be increased tensions. There will be probably a big anti-DPRK media campaign. So we really will need to up our game and step up our solidarity with People's Korea in 2020. And of course, the best way of doing this is by joining UK KFA and participating in our activities, as well as those of the Juche Dear Study Group of England and the Association for the Study of Song and Politics UK. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and please come to our events. Thank you.